Going to call the regular Bucyrus City Council meeting to order for June 3rd, 2025 at 7 p.m. Please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Myers.
Here.
Deshawn.
Here.
Slater. Here. Moritz.
Here.
Sherrick.
Here.
Spiegel.
Here.
Me.
Here.
I would like to welcome our newest council member at this time, Mr. Terry Spiegel. He was appointed by the Republican Party to fill in the vacant seat for Ward 3 that was formerly held by Mr. Hickman.
Thank you.
Okay.
I look forward to it.
I do too. Okay, at this point, we have the minutes from the May 20th, 2025 regular council meeting. Does anybody have any questions on those minutes? We will need a motion to approve minutes.
Make a motion to approve the May 20th, 2025 minutes.
I'll second that one.
Mr. Moritz made a motion to approve the May 20, 2025 minutes. It was seconded by Mrs. Slater. Is there any discussion? All in favor of approving the minutes, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Aye.
Okay, minutes are approved. At this point, we have granting permission for visitors to speak. If there's anybody that would like to speak, please state your name and address at the podium, and you have 5 minutes.
Greg White, 1125 Hillcrest Drive. Thank you, Mr. President. The things that have been going on during council meetings are truly unbelievable. The fact that some of you, members of council, are gullible, naive, self-centered, and very manipulative. Do you really know what you're doing? Do you understand the issues? Do you know what you're voting on? Do you realize that your actions affect the citizens of this community? Do you really care? Or is it all about yourself and how you can gain from it? Case in point, at the last council meeting, Mr. Myers wanted legislation that had not gone through committee nor back to executive session on the union contract for the firefighters. It was funny that that mysteriously appeared up. And nobody that I've talked to on council so far knew about that ordinance. But only Mr. Myers knew about it. This was done after the other legislation on the manning requirements was passed. How convenient. Was this the narrative all along? Even Aaron made some statements that, are these backdoor deals or these round-robin meetings? Who is all involved in this? What I believe to be true, there are several people on this council and the administration and possibly the law director are all involved in this backdoor deals. Could be more. Even the statements made in the past meetings might not be true at all. Nice thing is that this is all on tape. I especially like the verbal attack by the union president. I wish he gave me some more. But I don't believe that his facts were totally correct in its entirety. I have to use a quote from the mayor. You have to consider the source. Also remember that recording in public areas is not against the law. So basically, council members, except for Vicki Deshawn and Terry Spiegel, you voted on a contract that you didn't even know what was written in it or what was changed in it. It's like signing a blank statement or a contract and you don't care what says in it. So if I give you a piece of paper, here, I want you to sign this blank piece of paper, okay? And I'll tell you after it's approved and signed by others what it's all about. Does that ring a bell? Maybe there's some possibility of some misfeasance, malfeasance, nonfeasance, ethics violation, code of conduct, or rules of professional conduct. It will all come out in the end. Now the other issue that I'd like to bring up. Since the city has two positions, one elective, the law director, and the other one is appointed, the city prosecutor, lately many pieces of legislation are not getting done. It's been months and months and months. And every meeting, all I hear is, oh, I'll have it the next meeting, or I'll have it the next meeting, or I'll have it the next meeting. And I applaud Mr. Sean here for bringing that up consistently about things that are not, legislation that is not being done. And it's been going on for months before the committees are looking at this legislation. So what is the holdup on this? What I believe to be true is that there's possibly some improprieties going on in the law director's office. Is there the possibility of private information being shared with others outside that office? There are two things the council needs to look at. Reconsider the vote on the contract, because I think it was not done properly. Second, the possibility of looking at and appointing another person as the city prosecutor position, because we're not getting legislation done. Thank you for your time.
Any other public participation?
Yeah, Ray Thedoff, 210 Ethel Street. I had a question for Mayor Truca, but I'm thinking maybe Tommy can answer this question. But where are we at on the trail that was to be installed at Allmiller this summer? Do you have any idea?
So we have to, I'm gonna bring it up tonight, we gotta get a piece of legislation to go through, then it's already been designed and everything, but it's gotta be, piece of legislation, it's gotta be made up and passed, and then we'll go from there.
Are we on track pretty much for this summer?
Yeah, we got until next year to do it. We're still,
But the plan was that it's gonna start this summer.
we're still trying to get it to start this summer, yes.
My other question was for Mr. Gobrick. I'm hoping he can answer this one. Where are we at with the Swan Rubber building out here on Mansfield Street? Any new news on that?
No new news.
How are we, we're sending out warnings and taking people to court for their grass being 8 inches tall, yet we got this building out on Mansfield Street. It's been sitting there for over a year. It's about ready to collapse. And we have no news.
You'll have to take that up with the property maintenance code enforcement officer.
Okay. Well, I was actually going to comment on, I was going to thank him tonight because I actually seen some positive results in my neighborhood. And I want to thank Gordon Grove and his people personally. And you may have something to do with that. I've noticed here lately that some things have been getting cleaned up in my neighborhood. And I want to thank him and you for that. But I really wish we could stay on this Swan building. I don't know if anyone's noticed, but there's a big chunk getting ready to fall again. And when it hits the ground, it's not just going to stick. It's going to do some damage to cars going by and possibly injure and kill somebody. There's got to be something we can do. Thanks.
Mr. Myers.
Mr. Gobrick, question. Would you be able to check with Mr. Grove and report back to us on the status of that, maybe at committee meetings Thursday?
Sure.
Thank you.
I have a question as well. Would that not be able to be, are we not able to track down the owner, or what is going on with actually communicating with the property owner?
So the property owner has some pretty severe health issues that I'm not going to state publicly. However, they are in the process of trying to sell it. The purchase that we had in place fell through, so now we're looking at other options.
Okay, so I just have to reiterate with what Ray said. I very much feel the same way. I have family that live there, and I drive by it every day, and I just feel that at this point maybe we should look into something further, as I know we have to be empathetic to people's positions, how they feel or what they're going through and such, but Ray is very much accurate. Like I drive by it every day, and I'm afraid it's gonna fall, and it's gonna hurt somebody, and I don't know if there's something we can do, like an injunction.
When this falls, it's gonna hurt somebody, kill somebody, and it's gonna do a lot of damage. And it's just sitting there. So
Yeah, and
I'm on record as saying that. Everybody's warned.
I hate to say it, but,
I still see people walking on that side of the sidewalk. There's barrels there, but I see people walking through there. One brick
kids will
falls
do-
off there is gonna kill somebody.
Yeah.
And I'm talking the whole side's gonna come down.
yeah, that whole face, if, just in case anyone's not aware, the whole face of that Swan.
I drive by it
Rose,
4 times a
yeah,
day.
it butts up right to the sidewalk, so that's completely delaminating, and it's gonna fall.
Like I said, when it falls, it's gonna blow out into the street, and them little shards, a piece of brick are gonna be like bullets flying all over the street.
Changing the sidewalk across the street as well.
Oh, yeah, it's gonna-
And there's a bus stop there, and so.
Is there any sort of, I hate to say it, but is there any sort of like court action that can be taken to mitigate that, or? I know.
Yes.
I mean, it's,
So is Richland County out of that altogether now?
Nope. They're still
Because
involved.
they were the ones holding this up previously.
They're still involved.
Mr. Fankhauser.
Ms. Sherrick.
Going back to what Mr. White said, that was passed at a special council meeting, not our last council meeting, and my comments were not about that. My comments were about some other things that were said. So mixing everything together to get your own point of view across doesn't really make me happy when you take my words out of context. For anybody, I don't like seeing anybody's words taken out of context. And not having the facts straight when you're attacking people is probably not a good idea either. That's all.
Any other public participation? We are still on public participation.
Hi, my name is James Cady. I'm here because I've been trying to.
Can you state your address, please, sir?
I don't have an address yet. I'm living with a friend. I'm not stating my friend's address. So like I've been trying to get a building from the city. I talked to Tommy. He took me down there. I looked at it, and I guess it's going someplace else. And I've talked to Brandon. Like Brandon's been said once it comes back to a council meeting, come down here, propose what I want to do with the building. Well, I drew it up. I finally, within the last week, Brandon, I went and got my LLC. I finally got my tax ID number. Hey, I don't care what y'all up here arguing about. I'm just trying to bring money to the city. Like, in a sense of way, I should stay where I'm at, but I got to move back down here for the courts. I got in a lot of trouble down here, but my life has changed. But this city done went to hell in a handbasket from the mayor that had a heart attack when he was in office. That's the best mayor this city had. Your last mayor, I mean, man, there's so much you could sit here and say, but nobody wants to take the blame. Everybody wants to say, blame it on this person, blame it on this person. Just do your job. Like, you can't blame. The best way to put it, if you're gonna blame somebody, blame yourself. Always look at yourself before you want to blame somebody else. All y'all up here, all y'all can make the decision. Just quit pointing the fingers. And at the end of the day, I'm just here to show what I want to do with this building. So who do I got to show this paperwork to? That's all I want to do.
If you're referring to the North End Fire Station, the Public Lands and Buildings Committee meeting on Thursday would be the appropriate meeting for that, this coming Thursday.
This coming Thursday? All
I
right.
believe we referred that to the CI, or draft legislation for the CIC.
We're waiting on legislation.
Well, right, it was just this last
Yeah,
meeting,
it was
so.
at the last meeting.
We referred, so.
Yeah, I was here when
Yeah,
y'all did
Yeah,
that.
we referred that for legislation to be sent to the CIC so we could have that be facilitated through the
Right. When is it?
Thursday at 6 p.m.
Thursday at 6 p.m.? All right, bet. Thank you.
Any other public participation? Seeing none. Communications and petitions, we have a letter from, I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce that name. but it's somebody affiliated with the Sunoco gas station.
Dear Bucyrus Clerk Council, I am writing to formally request the rezoning and renovation of the Sunoco gas station located at 211 Hopley Ave, Bucyrus, Ohio 44820. The current size of the interior store is insufficient to enhance business operations and meet the needs of our customers. To provide the quality service and diverse merchandise our customers deserve, we must expand our facilities. Specifically, I am requesting that the following 2 parcels be classified as development business instead of their current urban neighborhood or R3 designation. It's parcel number 080015118000 and parcel number 080015119000. This change will enable us to effectively expand and improve our offerings, enhancing customer satisfaction and contributing positively to the local community. Thank you for considering this request. I look forward to discussing this matter further and am happy to provide any additional information needed. Please feel free to contact me at webridgeu@gmail.com or 614-674-1609. Sincerely, Thamer Mulcahy, business owner of Sunoco.
Okay, need a motion. Does anyone want to refer this to plating for the rezoning?
Second.
Mr. Me made the motion. It was seconded by Ms. Sherrick. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That has been referred. We also need a motion to accept and file the letter.
So moved.
Second.
Motion was made by Ms. Sherrick, seconded by Mr. Spiegel. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Standing committee reports, plating committee, Mr. Me.
None today.
Any questions for plating committee?
I do actually have a question about this meeting petitions that we just read. He had requested that it be, he said a developmental business. I believe he means downtown business, but I just want to ensure that for clarity's sake, that we're referring it for rezoning in general and not just DB, correct?
That was my thought when I said it.
Okay, I just want to have that stated so we know that's
It is generally referred.
awesome. Thank you.
Any other questions for plating? Seeing none, public lands and buildings, Ms. Sherrick.
We're just waiting for legislation for the properties to be able to be sent to the CIC.
Any questions for public lands and buildings? Seeing none, health and safety chair, Mrs. DeShawn.
At our May 22nd, 25 meeting, the committee reviewed proposed ordinance number 24-2025, dealing with having 2 driving lanes on South Sandusky Avenue from Marion Road to Beale Avenue, with north and southbound left turn lanes at Southern Avenue and a southbound left turn lane at Beale Avenue. Dylan Wyatt with McKeever and Associates will be speaking at our June 5th, 25 Health and Safety Committee meeting about the proposed ordinance. End of my report.
Any questions for health and safety? Seeing none, finance committee, Mr. Myers.
Finance Committee has one piece of legislation it pushed forward out of our previous meeting that will be read and voted on this evening, appointing 2 people to the Income Tax Board of Review. That is the end of my report.
Any questions for finance committee? Seeing none, economic development committee, vice chairwoman, Mrs. DeShawn.
At our May 22nd, 25 Economic Development Committee meeting, it was discussed and decided at the recommendation of Greg Timberlake, Interim Crawford Partnership Director, to schedule a time or a meeting after the new Crawford Partnership Director has been selected. This meeting will be for the township and city officials to meet with an Ohio attorney who will present information and answer questions about the JED and CETA programs. Secondly, On May 25th, 2025, I forwarded to Mr. Goldberg 2 emails received from Clerk Wise concerning the yet-to-be-approved March 6, 25 committee meeting minutes. The first email read in part as follows. In light of Mr. Hickman's resignation and anticipated absence at the Thursday, May 8th, 2025 committee meetings, to move forward with the March 6th Economic Development Committee meeting minutes, I will need to have the 4 members who sat on the committee at the time of the meeting held to sign off their approval of the minutes so that they may be presented and passed by council as a whole. This process is outlined in the Council Rules of Procedure, updated March 2024, under C, Miscellaneous Number 3. While I realize this process outlines the procedure for specifically ad hoc committees, in this unfortunate circumstance, I believe this same procedure can be applied to the approval of the Economic Development Committee meeting minutes. I was wondering, Mr. Goldberg, I haven't, received a response to that email. And my question to you was if you concurred with Clerk Wise that we could, because under C miscellaneous, it said, should any minutes remain to be approved after the disbanding of an ad hoc committee, the minutes, along with a statement signed by the former ad hoc committee members acknowledging their review and approval of the minutes, shall be presented to council as a whole for approval. And I guess I wanted to know your opinion on that section being used for the approval of a regular committee meeting minutes.
So the council as a whole can always do that. So I would see no problem doing that.
So you're saying it would be fine then for the committee members of the Economic Development Committee, it's fine for them to sign off on this?
Correct.
Okay. Okey-doke. Thank you. And that's the end of my report.
Any questions for economic development? Seeing none. Service Committee, Mr. Moritz.
Besides codified ordinances that we've been looking at for over a year now, we're close, so that's still going to be an issue until we get that one done. Then when we get that one done, we're going to move on to a whole nother besides codified ordinance section. Probably sewer, something like that, maybe. See if we can redo those. That's it for mine.
Any questions for Service Committee? Seeing none. Special Ad Hoc Committee for Rules of Procedure, Mrs. DeShawn.
At the May 20th, 25 council meeting, committee member Chris Moritz asked Law Director Goldberg about the status of the drafts. Goldberg stated that he would have the first section done by Thursday, May 22nd, 25. I was just checking, Mr. Goldberg, since we haven't received those drafts, when we might be getting those?
This Thursday, some things came up with the city last week that took a lot of my time.
Okay, thank you.
Is that the end of your report?
I guess one thing I'll point out, when you mention this Thursday, I don't know if you're thinking Thursday because that's when we have our committee meetings. Because if that's, you're thinking, just keeping in mind that this is a special ad hoc committee, so we're not scheduled.
Okay.
So.
We can schedule a meeting then.
So you're saying you would like a meeting
Yes.
scheduled then for, okay. So then is that something that I can check with the committee members right now? And
Go for it.
and I guess probably we're looking at either, well, I'll ask you this question. Preference, and then of course I'll ask the committee members, a ad hoc meeting possibly just for you to hand out the documents because obviously we're going to want time to look over them. So are we looking at, do we want to do this prior to the regular committee meetings? If it's just a matter of passing out and maybe making a few comments, and then we take the documents home, and then we'll schedule another meeting to actually then discuss them after we've all had an opportunity to read over?
That works.
Do it before regular committee meetings, or do you want to do it after regular committee meetings? You want to do it before? How does that sound to you, Aaron?
This week?
Yes, that would, now, work schedule. When is usually the soonest time, Clarissa, that you're able to?
I get off work at 5:30.
Okay, because I'm
This week is different though.
Oh, okay. You will be available? So do we want to say 5:30 meeting?
Sounds good to me.
Okay, and even though you haven't been put on the ad hoc rules of procedure, Mr. Spiegel, that was a committee that Mr. Hickman was on. At 5:30, you'll be fine with your schedule? Okay, great. Then we will have our special ad hoc rules of procedure, et cetera, committee meeting this Thursday, which is what, June 5th at 5:30 PM? Sound okay?
Is that the end of? Yes.
That's the end of my report.
Any questions for the special ad hoc committee? Seeing none. Special ad hoc committee for property maintenance, Mr. Me.
No report, but I do have a question for Mr. Goldberg. So the videos that we take and Bonnie saves are documents, are legal documents, correct? Why are we writing out the minutes? Then we have the videos? Why do we do
We're
both?
required to have minutes.
We're required to do both. There's just so much discrepancy in the writing of the minutes versus the videos. I'm not sure why we do that, but if we have to, we have to.
Legislature says so.
Right.
Okay. Who said so?
The legislature.
Oh. Who are they?
Any other questions? Any questions for the special ad hoc committee for property maintenance? Seeing none. Special ad hoc committee for zoning map, Mr. Me.
No report.
Any questions for the special ad hoc committee for the zoning map? Seeing none. Traffic commission, Mr. Starner, was there any traffic commission meetings?
We have not had a meeting, but we do have one scheduled for Monday morning,
What time?
9 o'clock.
Okay. All right, any questions for traffic commission? Seeing none. Need a motion to accept the committee reports.
I'd like a motion to accept the committee reports.
Mr. Moritz made a motion to accept the committee report, seconded by Ms. Sherrick. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion has passed. Report of city officers. I don't believe we have a mayor's report, as he is still out on medical. Safety Service Director's report, Mr. Stark.
Thank you, Mr. President. First of all, I want to welcome Terry.
Thank you.
And then on Thursday, Dillard Wyatt from McKeever Associates will be attending the committee meetings to discuss the following topics: the addition of the turn lanes on South Sandusky Avenue, the South Sandusky Avenue Sewer Separation Project, and the installation of curbs on uncurbed streets. The addition of the turn lanes on South Sandusky and the South Sandusky Avenue Sewer Separation Projects are already referred to in the proper committees. And I would like to refer the ODNR grant for the All Miller Park Walking Bike Trail to the Public Lands and Buildings and Finance Committee. Thank you.
Is this ODNR grant, is that to put it out to bid?
No, it's to get the legislation to go along with the contract to send it out.
Okay, we need a motion to refer ODNR grant for All Miller Park to Public Lands and Buildings and Finance.
Second.
Mr. Myers made the motion, seconded by Ms. Sherrick. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Any questions for the service director?
Yes.
Mr. Myers?
Mr. Starner, do you also need anything referred to be able to discuss anything on the installation of curbs on the uncurbed streets?
So, I talked to Mrs. Wise, and she doesn't think we do to talk about it.
Okay.
Any other questions for the service director? Seeing none.
Hey, can I talk to the service director?
At the end of these reports, there's another point for public participation. You'll be able to come up then. Law director's report, Mr. Gobrick.
I wasn't able to get my report done yesterday. Some things popped up with the city. I wasn't able to get it done. However, there are some updates. On the criminal side, one of my officers cited a woman for using drugs while pregnant and charged her under the child endangerment. Now, under the law in the state of Ohio, you can't charge a pregnant person for using drugs while pregnant in the sense of endangering the child. However, I think that the legal landscape has changed enough in the recent years, especially with the new constitutional amendment, that I decided to push through the prosecution. The opposing counsel put in a motion to dismiss. We got the case dismissed. I'll be initiating an appeal in the 3rd District Court of Appeals on behalf of the city for that. And before the argument starts, I would also just like to say that in this instance, this is a regularly scheduled meeting, so I don't think that the section number for the executive session has to be stated on our agenda. That's the end of the report.
Any questions for the law director, Mr. Myers?
Mr. Gobrick, we had discussed at a previous meeting when we were talking about the appointments to the tax review board, and you were going to check to see if you felt there would be any conflict with Mrs. White.
So I met with Lisa and Cody, and I took a look at the ethics laws and some cases. I don't think there's going to be a conflict.
Thank you very much.
Legislation should be done, right, Miranda?
Yeah, it is. I just wanted to make sure your answer.
I don't see a conflict after looking at it.
Any other questions for the law director? Seeing none, auditors report, Ms. Lewis.
No auditor's report today, but I did want to give you guys a quick update. We received some communication from our current income tax software that they would no longer be supporting income tax software. So our income tax office is meeting with other companies, looking into other kind of software that we could be utilizing in the future. We had a meeting today with a company called MITS. It seemed to be pretty great software, especially in comparison to what we have currently. We will probably have to appropriate money when the time comes because it's currently not budgeted for. So just a heads up for that coming down the line.
Any questions for the auditor?
Yeah, so we budgeted money for the current software we're using, correct?
Yes. This we have to pay, I think just the conversion is $6,000 just to convert the information we have in our current software into the software we'd be going to, and that's just the conversion. That's not the base purchase price for the software and all the modules that, add on.
Okay, thank you.
Ms. Sherrick?
Do you need this referred just so that it's in committee when you need it, or?
No, I can refer it closer to the time.
So we're looking at the end of the year.
No, probably by the end of summer, I would say. We would like to get it up and running so they're not learning it during, tax season. That would be rough.
Okay.
Any other questions for the auditor? Seeing none, we do not have a treasurer's report, a police chief's report, or a fire chief's report. So at this point, I need a motion to accept and file the city officer's reports.
Second.
Mr. Myers made the motion, seconded by Ms. Sherrick. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Now we have visitors' participation regarding report of standing and special committees and of city officers. Did you still want to come up, or?
No, it's something else I was talking to him about. I just happened to look it up. It's about the fence, but I'll wait till he said wait till the end, so I'm gonna wait till the end. Man said he said wait till the end, so I just.
Well, there's no more public participation after this point unless it's regarding the legislation.
No, this is,
We'll talk about the fence, it's not something that's in the report.
it's about a fence. And he said it's where is the city service, I mean, not the service director. What's the guy's name, Tommy?
Mr. Keefe?
No, Jeff Dunn.
Jeff Dunn,
Yeah, just Jeff Dunn. And then I just found out, you look it up online, I didn't know, he sits on the board of zoning. Jeff Dunn lied to him. This guy's board of zoning. And Brandon was in a meeting with us about this fence. This fence, they said they never took care of the alley. They didn't take care of the alley. I got pictures to prove how the alley was open, how the city took care of it all. But for some reason, everybody says that these properties belongs to Shevers and Lutz. Somewhere along the line, somebody's pocket got paid. I don't know how. Mr. Garber, Brandon, got a question.
Shoot.
How do you do an investigation on city workers?
If there's a valid complaint, then either I initiate it or council asks me to look into it, and I observe the issue. I go and I talk to people, make a report, make a recommendation.
Make a recommendation? I think the city council should look in to people pockets, find a pocket trail. Because why did Mr. Me allow the fence to go up in an alley, and his guy, Jeff Dunn, tell him they ain't serviced this alley in years. This alley's been serviced. The city plowed it, the city did everything. And then I was talking to Mr. Myers, so he knew exactly what I was talking about. An old city worker told me that there was way before anybody else come up here, is when the one that was cheating on his wife, the mayor that was cheating on his wife. Just saying.
Can we get to his point? I think he's been working with Mr. Gobrecht. This really doesn't involve council right now.
Yeah, but it does, technically it does.
No, I
This is
disagree.
why I want the council to vote on it. To actually investigate Jeff Dunn and the dude that my friend that worked for the city said Jeff Dunn been in some crazy, off the wall stuff. Somebody need to investigate this.
Well, you as a private citizen are allowed to file an ethics complaint with the Ethics Commission of Ohio if you wanted to pursue something, if you have.
The way I'm looking at it, I've been working with Mr. Brandon. I've been working with about this, but he's part of the BZA, so obviously I got to work with the BZA now. But in the process, you got somebody that works for the city lying. And something needs to be done. Something needs to be checked. Hey man, my old man always told me, follow the money trail. And I've been living here since 05. Money gets you big time, money gets you moving in this city. I'm a little guy, I'm a small fish. Like I said, I'm trying to bring money here because I'm a small fish. I ain't got all that money. But somebody needs to investigate this dude, man. I can throw my dude's name out. I'm not trying to throw my dude's name out, but he worked for the city for over 30 years and said this dude is a crook. So I think somebody needs to investigate him. He's y'all's worker.
Okay, any other public participation? Seeing none. Consideration of proposed legislation for the first time.
Proposed resolution number 218-2025, it's the appointments to the Income Tax Appeals Board. Pursuant to section 189.18 of the codified ordinances of the city of Bucyrus, the Bucyrus City Council hereby appoints the following individuals to the local Board of Tax Review: Lisa Whitehead, presently residing at 1135 Fremont Street, Bucyrus, Ohio, and Adam Frizzell, presently residing at 1029 East Mansfield Street, Bucyrus, Ohio, to a 2-year term beginning June 3rd, 2025 and ending June 2nd, 2027, and declaring an emergency.
Does somebody want to make a motion to accept that as the first reading?
So moved. Second.
Ms. Sherrick has made a motion to accept as a first reading, seconded by Mrs. Slater. Is there any discussion?
Yeah, I've got a,
Mr. Myers.
I've got a question. When we made the referral or requested the legislation, I was under the impression it was retroactive to the beginning of this year and going through the end of December 31st of that year. That's what I thought. That was what we had discussed.
That's not how it was referred.
Okay.
And I wasn't going to change it because that's the way y'all referred it. I got in trouble last time.
Okay.
Any other discussion? At this point in time, I'd like to pass the gavel to Pro Tem Council President Myers, so I
Point
can
of
have
order, you
discussion.
can't,
You
because
can't,
he's
I just
already-
had my opinion.
Well, I'm not talking about anything he was talking about, so.
It's the motion on the floor is active for this, for the appointment. We can't, he's already participated in debate. He can't have the gavel.
Okay, Law Director, can you?
So I don't think the vote has happened if you're going to talk about this specific thing that's still on the table. He said his.
We're in the discussion of accepting the first reading.
Right.
And
So-
I'd like to have discussion.
So you want to talk about the first reading that just happened?
Yes.
Okay.
Of 218-2025.
Well, he just had discussion on it, so.
Can you then do the pro tem,
No,
secondary pro
I don't
tem?
think Robert's rules affords
he's
that.
not a member of council.
I'm also not a member of council, that's a good point.
I'm fine with having discussion while I hold the gavel if the other council members don't have objection by unanimous consent.
I'm not comfortable with that.
Public objection.
If there's something procedurally.
You ready for my discussion, Mr. Goldberg?
I don't think he can be the pro tem because he's already had discussion on it. I think Robert's rules is very clear about that.
As long as I'm not going back and forth with him,
No.
it's
Well,
permissible.
You can't have any conversation unless you give up the gavel, and you can't give up the gavel to anybody but the pro tem. And the pro tem already had his discussion on it, and that was regarding whether or not it had.
The gavel.
Whoa. Point of order.
Okay, here's what's gonna happen.
Sir,
Here's what's
there
going
was
to
a point of
happen.
order.
Who called the point of order?
I called the point of order.
What's your point of order, Mrs. Slater?
Mr. President, that behavior is unacceptable. I don't accept that kind of behavior from my children. I would not expect that out of a president of council.
Duly noted. Okay. This first reading, I don't believe,
Point of order, you don't have the right to talk on it and you're holding the gavel.
I'm talking about it. Okay, here's what we can do.
That's two
We can
point of
vote to put somebody else on council as the holder of the gavel just for this particular discussion since Mr. Myers already discussed it. So I'm gonna nominate Mr. Me.
I refuse. I'm not getting into this. I'm done.
Mr. Frizzell held up a note in a meeting, it says Turdhauser on
Point
it.
of order.
Point of order.
Mr. Frizzell is not fit to be appointed to this board. Mr. Frizzell is
Point
not
of
appointed to this board.
I can't.
No, he's not.
I'm asking for a motion to remove Mr. Fankhauser.
I will second that.
You can't remove the council president, you can only move the legislative members per the ORC. So that motion dies, and we're going to continue on having the
What do our
vote. All in
second-
favor of accepting the first reading, say aye.
Appeal.
I would like to appeal the motion. I would also like to hear the input from the law director.
Let me look it up.
Take one, pass it down.
Do you know what pass this one? That's a little inappropriate. You already know that. Mr. Francosa, that's not appropriate.
Okay, time is up. We're continuing on to
At
the
this time, I'd like
vote
to make
to
a-
accept the first reading.
There's still a motion on the floor. And so for an appeal to your position.
Mr. Gilbert, should we take a recess?
Sure. Questions like these take a lot of time to figure out.
I like to ask for.
Going into a 10-minute recess at 8:48.
7:48.
We are back from recess at 7:59 PM. Mr. Gobrick, how is your research going?
I haven't been given much time to come up with a good answer. My understanding is that
So, this particular parliamentary inquiry, from my own research that I've done in years past, so the council president isn't actually one of the members, which is why the council president can be denied being in executive session according to what Rob Ratliff said back in 2021. And that same area is why the council president can't be removed by one of the other members from the meeting.
So
that's
the
particular
cursory
law.
search that I've done and indicates that that's correct. It's not in our rules of procedure. It doesn't address the council president. The stuff that does require, it requires notice and this and that and the other, I don't think that the council president can be removed from this meeting based on my cursory search. However, I wasn't given much time to fully look into this issue.
So moving on, we're going to move on to accepting the first reading where we were before we were interrupted. I need a motion to accept the first reading of ordinance 218-2025.
That was already done. You had a motion and a second?
Oh, I'm sorry. We're going to vote. It was already, the motion already, we had Ms. Sherrick and Mrs. Slater had seconded that. So all in favor of accepting the first reading, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? First reading has been accepted. Public participation, any member of the general public may present their input or comments on legislation that's been read for the first time. Is there any public input? I don't see any public input out there, so we're going to move on. Consideration of proposed legislation for the second time.
Proposed ordinance 29-2025 is the repeal of ordinance 46-96. Repealing and not replacing ordinance number 46-96, creating chapter 355 under Title 7 entitled Parking under Part 3 entitled Traffic Code of the Codified Ordinances of the City of Bucyrus, entitling same as Snow Street Emergency Procedure, the same providing the city with procedures on how to declare a snow emergency, which streets are affected, the length of the emergency, and the establishment of a parking ban on streets so designated.
I need a motion to accept that as a second reading.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Myers made the motion, Mr. Moritz seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
No. I just figured since you skipped it last time.
All opposed? Motion passes. Public participation, any member of the general public may present their input on comments on legislation that's been read for the second time. Seeing none. These ordinance 29-2025 is referred back to Health and Safety. Resolution 218-2025 is referred back to Finance. Committee report on pending legislation, Health and Safety Committee.
Health and Safety is favorable to proposed ordinance 29-2025, which repeals ordinance 46-96, which deals with Snow Street Emergency Procedure.
Finance Committee.
Finance is favorable to proposed resolution 218-2025, the appointments to the Income Tax Appeals Board.
Further consideration of pending legislation. Resolution 218-2025 for the second and third reading of proposed resolution 218-2025. Do I hear a motion to suspend the rules, waive the reading of the caption and text, and declare an emergency?
So moved.
Second.
Ms. Slater made the motion. Ms. Sherrick made the motion. Mrs. Slater seconded. Is there any discussion? At this point in time, I'd like to pass the gavel to the Council President Pro Tem, as I'd like to have discussion. Are you ready, Mr. Myers?
Sure.
This resolution 218-2025 concerns the appointment to the local Board of Tax Review. There's two people being appointed, Lisa Whited and Adam Frizzell. I believe we should not follow through with this resolution as stated because Mr. Frizzell, and I have passed these papers around, has shown very unprofessional conduct in these chambers. He held up a paper
Not during the vote.
in one of the meetings in front of my camera that I had in the back room, and it said Turdhauser Network standing by. This was while council was in executive session. Here's another photo of Mr. Frizzell getting up from the second row of chairs as he was going up to the camera to hold this notebook up. I don't believe that
Wait,
Mr. Frizzell,
So you left your camera running while we were in executive session after everybody else had to turn theirs off?
that was before that new rule was in place.
Okay, and do you have a
Because
problem with somebody?
Mr. Beeman's camera was going too at that time. So by the actions of Mr. Frizzell, and this tax review board is a very important board, I don't believe that he has the character to be a person that's on that type of a board because of this stuff right here. That's the end of my discussion.
All right, there's a motion on the floor to suspend the rules and waive the reading of the caption and text. The motion was made by Ms. Sherrick and seconded by Mrs. Slater. Roll call vote, please.
Sherrick?
Yes.
Slater?
Yes.
Moritz?
Yes.
Spiegel?
Yes.
Me?
Yes.
Myers?
Yes.
DeShawn?
Yes.
Is there a motion to adopt proposed resolution 218-2025?
So moved.
I've
Second.
got a motion by Slater and a second by Sherrick. Any discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Slater?
Yes.
Sherrick?
Yes.
Spiegel?
Yes.
Me?
Yes.
Myers?
Yes.
DeShawn?
Yes.
Moritz?
Yes.
Resolution 218-2025 is duly adopted. I need a motion to return the gavel to the council president.
So moved.
Do I hear a second? Motion fails. Who has information on who has called the executive session?
I handed out
I understand you handed it out. I'm asking who has requested it be called.
I requested it be called.
Okay, can you tell us for what purpose?
For the purpose of ORC 121.22, Section G3, conferences with an attorney for the public body concerning disputes involving the public body that are subject to pending or imminent court action. Section G4, preparing for, conducting, or reviewing negotiations or bargaining sessions with public employees concerning their compensation or other terms and conditions of their employment.
Okay, at the request of Mr. Fankhauser, I'll entertain
I have
a...
a question. We're having a conference with an attorney about pending court matters. Does the attorney know that,
I'll allow you to ask him that question right now.
does the attorney know that we're having this conversation, or is this?
I can speculate, but
An email has been sent to Mr. Gobrick.
All right, so at this time, I'll entertain a motion to enter executive session.
Or may I borrow this? I took it from you without asking. May I borrow this? Okay. I make a motion to go in executive session with the law director, safety service director, per ORC 121.22, Section G3, conferences with an attorney for a public body concerning disputes involving the public body that are subject to pending or imminent court action. Section G4, preparing for or reviewing negotiations or bargaining sessions with public employees concerning their compensations or other terms and conditions of employment.
All right, just to clarify, your motion was to enter into executive session with the law director and service director and anybody else?
No, that would be all.
Okay. Do I hear a second?
Second.
I'd like to have discussion. Mr. Myers.
Give me 1 second. I have a motion on the floor by Ms. Slater and a second by Mr. Me. Any discussion?
Mr. Myers, my discussion is, I would like the motion to be amended to include the council president due to the fact that the council president has relative information regarding the matters of going into the executive session.
Mrs. Slater, do you wish to amend your motion?
No, I do not.
Any further discussion, Mr. Fankhauser? Okay. Roll call vote, please.
Myers?
No.
DeShawn?
No.
Slater?
No.
Moritz?
No.
Sherrick?
No.
Spiegel?
No.
Me?
No.
Okay, that motion dies. Does anybody have any old or unfinished business to bring up?
I do.
Mrs. DeShawn.
At the March 4th, 2025 council meeting, I read an email received by me on February the 12th, 2025 from citizen Greg White, 1125 Hillcrest Drive. In his email, Mr. White gave me permission to, quote, read it during meetings. In his email, he made both professional and personal allegations against me. At the council meeting, I verbally responded to Mr. White's email and followed up with an email to him on March the 11th, 2025. At the March 18th, 2025 council meeting, Mr. White stated, and I quote, "He spoke to council. As a private citizen, a resident, he does not have to give public records. He is not an elected official. He does not have to comment to any email that he so chooses not to." End of quote. Mr. White did not state that his comment was in reference to my March 18, 2025 email, but in the off chance it was, I reply as follows. My official request to Mr. White was not for public records, but for his providing me a list of the alleged matters and dates of occurrence to support his allegations against me. My unofficial request to him was to secure the true facts about the alleged rumors he cited about me and to report back to all of us. On January 18, 2024, I received an email from Mr. White stating the following, and I quote, "It is pointless for someone to just say whatever they want to say without documentation to back what they are saying. It is basically he said, she said. Facts don't lie, people do. Facts are facts." End of quote. At the March 4th, 2025 council meeting, Mr. White stated, and I quote, "Why can't someone just stand up and admit they made mistakes? In the military, we call this manning up, and take responsibility for the actions. Why not just tell the truth?" End of quote. At this time, I hereby request in both my official and unofficial capacities that Mr. White stand behind his own words and man up, take responsibility, tell the truth, supply documentation to back up what he is saying, and answer my email no later than June 24th, 2025. Thank you.
Does anybody else have any other old or unfinished business?
I do.
Mrs. Slater.
For transparency purposes, I know that this executive session situation was going to come up and not be pretty. As such, I wanted to share with the public on record during the council meeting an email exchange that occurred after we realized that an executive session was placed on the agenda without any context until 5 minutes before there was a script placed on Mrs. DeShawn and Mr. Myers' seats that had G4 and G3 as I had read during my motion that I had made. The email from Vicki stated, "President Finkhauser, please confirm the following." This was dated today, 4 hours ago at 3:29 p.m. "Please confirm the following: who called executive session and what ORC sections are being addressed?" I don't believe you received any response to that email, correct?
No, I did not.
Okay. And then I did email Mrs. DeShawn back, and I wanted to state what I had said to her for the record. I said, "Councilwoman DeShawn, thank you for reaching out with your questions to Mr. Finkhauser about who called executive session and which specific ORC subsection is being cited. Like you, I am concerned that the June 3rd agenda lists executive session without identifying the legal exemption under ORC 121.22G. This is a clear departure from our past practice.
such as including on our May 20th meeting when the agenda transparently stated the subsections and reasons, for example, real estate, litigation, union negotiations. While I understand that the state law
Point of
only...
information.
Point of order?
Point of information.
What is your point?
Mr. Gobrick already stated at the beginning of this meeting that he felt that the agenda was proper, that he agreed it did not need to state the exact reason since it was a regular meeting.
I am stating this right now.
He's literally in the sentence.
Okay. I'm going to let her finish because as long as she gets to that point as well.
Okay. So, as I stated, while I understand state law only requires the motion itself to be included in the ORC citation, failing to include it in the public agenda signals an abandonment of transparency. This erodes public trust, especially if repeated without explanation. It raises uncomfortable questions about whether information is being intentionally held from the public. I intend to raise this issue publicly, and I will not support entering executive session unless statutory justification is made clearly on the record and the subject matter truly meets the legal threshold for executive discussion. I believe that we owe it to our constituents to remain consistent, transparent, and accountable, especially when deliberating behind closed doors. And by saying that, I don't agree with us removing that, especially when it's been our past practice. It may not be legally required, but we should be as transparent and open as possible with the public.
Okay, thank you. And to Mr. Fankhauser's point, then there was a reply email from the law director that stated that he believed that legally it did not have to. I understand your point that you feel transparency, but I do want to make sure that that is also stated that Mr. Gobrick had stated his opinion and he does not believe it was required to be on there. Is there any other old or unfinished business?
Yeah, that's my business. The ordinance 30-2025 that was passed at the last regular meeting, I believe was done improperly. I sent out an extensive email that it pointed out everything that I thought was done improperly as far as passing of the fire contract. I believe at this point in time that the city is subject to potential litigation if somebody was to contest the contract due to the fact that proper ORC was not followed, where both sides of the parties come to a tentative agreement prior to the agreement being brought to council, and then it never was added as an exhibit to the ordinance when 30-2025 was passed. And I brought that up at the time of the first reading of the 30-2025. It fell on deaf ears. Councilwoman Deshawn was not in attendance at that meeting. I'm certain if she was, she would have possibly had an issue with that ordinance as well. I believe that...
I would prefer that you not speculate on what I would or would not have said. Thank you.
Well, I'm just going by what you said in the past on how there was exhibits always on these
Again,
contracts.
please do not speculate on what I would or would not have said. Thank you.
I'm going by things you have said.
Point of order.
What is your point, Mr. Chair?
He is speculating somebody else's position, and they've asked him not to, and he's still continuing. Can we stop it?
I'll agree. If you could get to your point, Mr. Fankhauser, thank you.
So I wanted to address this issue with this contract at the special council meeting that we held 2 weeks ago. It was not addressed. The council was in total dysfunction. The meeting was adjourned. I'm trying to get it addressed tonight. It appears that there is more dysfunction within this council. So at this point, I'm pleading with the council to address these issues with the ordinance 30-2025. That's the end of my old business.
Mr. Garwick, I'm going to ask you if you have any response.
Sure. I believe the council president is relying on the Supreme Court of Ohio's case, the city, I think it's Coventry versus City of Arlington or something, that holds that you normally, in a normal city, you should put the contract out in the legislation. However, the Supreme Court of Ohio in that stated that there was no risk of it affecting union negotiations. My opinion is that the situation that we're in now, based on the pattern of conduct that I've observed since taking over, doing so would affect union negotiations and open us up to a reasonable charges for labor misconduct. I stand by my statement. There's a dissent in the Arlington case that probably fits the city of Bucyrus's situation pretty well. I think that it's fair to say that it would have been improper to put it out there before because of the risk of retaliation, the risk of unfair labor, the risk of affecting negotiations. I don't think that the Arlington case fits our current situation.
Okay. Any questions for Mr. Gobrecht?
I have a question. So that specific case addresses the issue of attaching an exhibit to an ordinance. The other issue that I pointed out was that no tentative agreement had been reached prior.
Yes, there was.
You stated at the May 8th committee meetings that nothing has been agreed to yet, nothing's been signed. And then, so you can't say in one instance that a tentative agreement has been reached, but yet nothing's been agreed to.
Sure you can.
You're contradicting.
Sure you can, because you're conflating the difference between the full contract, which I stated, which I was talking about in that context, and the tentative agreements that we reached during negotiations. Those are two separate and distinct things.
Were these tentative agreements verbally agreed to or signed off on by the administration with a dated signing?
I will have to look into it.
Because I'm going to make public record requests for all of it, which I've been told by a labor negotiating attorney that every proposal, every tentative agreement, once a contract is executed, becomes public record.
Based on the Arlington case, that is correct. However, I don't think the city's situation, I think the city's situation is fairly distinguishable than that in the Arlington case. It's public record now, obviously.
Mr. Fankhauser, can I ask, when you were reaching out to this labor negotiation attorney, if you were doing it in your professional role as council president or in your personal role as just a private citizen?
I am pleading the fifth on your question.
Well,
So-
it just would,
I actually like explaining this. I'm going to interject. So the Fifth Amendment only applies to someone who is in custody. It applies to custodial interrogations. I don't think you're in custody right now, and the Fifth Amendment doesn't apply to you. Just a fun tidbit in the law. However, colloquially, I think the council president doesn't want to say anything. Go ahead.
Anything further from you?
no, I just wanted some clarification.
Okay. Anything further from you, Mr. Gobrecht?
Nope.
I have a comment. To that, I would state that if you're going to, in a meeting, discuss it in your official capacity, I would state if you're talking to a labor negotiations and doing so within the scope of your position, that would make any conversations that you're having them with them be in your official position.
This is a labor negotiator that has worked on the city's behalf prior.
Which is in and of itself a problem.
Okay. Can we move on? All right. Last call for old and unfinished business. Hearing none. New and miscellaneous business, you'll have in the back of your packet committee and subcommittee appointments. These appointments are deemed necessary due to the resignation of Councilman Zion Hickman, Ward 3. The terms for the appointment below end December 31st, 2025. For the council committees, they are Economic Development Committee, Service Committee, Public Lands and Building Committee, and the Ad Hoc Committee Rules of Procedure for Bucyrus City Council, and then also the subcommittee appointments of Bucyrus Community Improvement Corporation, the CIC, Community Reinvestment Area, CRA Housing Council, Crawford Park District, Bucyrus Tourism Advisory Board, and Bucyrus Trails Committee. I would entertain a motion to place Mr. Terry Spiegel in these positions since he's replacing Mr. Hickman as Ward 3 representative.
So moved.
Second.
Let me state, you're still going to be president chairman of the, I don't want to be chairman of the economic.
Development?
Yeah, because I don't know that much coming in on it.
I'm vice chair,
You're vice, yes.
and I know, I do believe at the meeting, May 20th council meeting, that I was not present, that Mrs. Slater had stated her interest in serving as the committee chair.
I second that.
But now, the committee chairs, they are not appointed by the council president. The chairs are appointed by the committee members themselves.
No, the council president.
Doesn't.
The committee chairs?
Yeah.
Not the vice chairs. The
Not the
committee
vice
decides
chairs.
on the
Oh, okay.
chairperson who has been assigned by the
Okay,
president.
excuse me, I misspoke.
So in this instance, Mr. Spiegel would be replacing Mr. Hickman, and if you, I think so, would desire to have something, I think you could take that up with Mr. Fankhauser, and then he could make any adjustments as necessary. Do you agree with that, Mr. President? Okay. So the motion on the floor is to place Mr. Spiegel in the roles I just previously stated. It was a motion by Ms. Sherrick and a second by Mrs. Slater. Roll call, please.
Myers?
Yes.
DeShawn?
Yes.
Slater?
Yes.
Moritz?
Yes.
Sherrick?
Yes.
Spiegel?
Steve?
Me.
Yes.
Okay, that motion carries. Any other new and miscellaneous business?
Yes.
Mr. May.
As an elected official, I'm not allowed to accept any gifts. So there's no return address on this gift. Would you like to see what I received?
I would love to see it.
I think you've already seen them. Anyway, they'll be in the mayor's office if anybody wants to reclaim them.
Okay, I can't read.
It says property of City of Bucyrus, and it appears to be a pair of underwear.
So I'll leave them in the mayor's office.
That will be reflected in the minutes, right, Miranda?
It will now.
I'm just glad it isn't.
Any other new or miscellaneous business?
Got the straight face on it, it's pretty good.
All right, there's nobody who is absent requiring excuse. List of referrals, please.
Sunoco zoning reclassification to plating, and the ODNR grant for All Miller Park Trail to Public Lands and Buildings and Finance.
Okay. I need
Or-
a, yes, sir?
There's nothing in Robert's rules that says that the gavel needs to be returned by a motion and a second. It can just be handed back to the council president. So I would like the gavel back at this time.
Do you agree?
I could look into it, but we'll need another recess.
I'll make that motion for a 5-minute recess. Is that enough time, Brandon?
5 minutes. You guys have no idea how the law works.
All right, well, 10 minutes. I'll amend my motion for a 15-minute recess.
Sure.
I have a motion on the floor for a 15-minute recess. Is that a second, Ms. Sherrick? All right, we are in a 15-minute recess at 8:29 p.m. Mr. Grobrecht.
So, I found in 6210 of Robert's Rules, the procedure for removal of the presiding officer from the chair or from all or part of the session. And it reads that if the chair fails to act in accordance with the assembly's decision on an appeal or on a point of order submitted to the vote of the assembly, or otherwise culpably fails to perform the duties of the chair properly in a meeting, the assembly may employ measures to temporarily replace the chair with another presiding officer expected to act in accordance with the will of the assembly. If the offending occupant of the chair is an appointed or elected chairman pro tem, the motion can be made to declare the chair vacant and proceed to elect a new chairman. However, that's not applicable here. A motion can be made to suspend the rules to take away from him the authority to preside during all or part of a given session. When such a motion is made and seconded, after stating the motion, he must turn the chair over to another following the procedures described in 4329.
Point of order.
Which,
What is your point?
What does this have to do with returning the gavel?
I'm waiting to hear that. I think he's getting there.
and the remedy for refusal or failure to do so is that the motion may be put to a vote by its maker. Any such motion to suspend the rules might limit the authority or duties of the presiding officer during the meeting, can only remain in effect at most for one session, being the session that it took in. And based on, so that's the answer to the first question that I found. The second question specifically on this one is there has to be a motion, because there was a motion to, or there wasn't a motion.
I never made it, never was a motion.
Point of order.
Okay.
What is your point?
Mr. Fankhauser is not allowing anybody to finish. This is the fifth time he's interrupted this evening.
Okay. I will agree
So,
with you.
I
and let
believe
him
that the
finish.
proper procedure is that there should have been a motion to turn it over. However, there wasn't, so there's no motion required to give it back. So,
Okay, so in future, give me 1 second, sir. In future, what you're saying is that we need to make a motion for him to do so.
correct.
So, can I make a motion to suspend the rules and keep that where it's at?
You absolutely can.
Due to Mr. Fankhauser's inability to act appropriately during this meal, due to his inability to act on points of order, due to his inability to conduct the meeting properly, all of which have happened multiple times this evening.
I'll second that motion.
What was your motion, Ms. Chair?
To have that gavel remain in Mr. Myers' hands and to remove you from your seat for the meeting.
We're adjourned at 8:47 p.m.
47. I believe there was a motion on the table.
There's already a motion on the floor.
Is there any objection by unanimous consent to striking Ms. Sherrick's motion off?
100% there's an objection. Mr. Goldberg, due to his inaction, once again, this is a point of order and it has already been on the floor to have him be removed.
I believe that the next section should be to declare the seat vacant if they're unwilling and unable to.
That doesn't
conduct the
apply
meeting.
here.
Okay, so what do we do?
Well, given the fact that the chair isn't doing his job right now, I suppose we can either play the most boring game of chicken ever, or you can make the vote anyway, because
Is there any objection to ending the meeting by unanimous consent
There is an
Total
objection.
at
objection.
8:49 p.m.?
It's already been objected.
We also have a motion on the floor.
there's a motion on the floor that needs to be addressed.
If the president
Ms.
is in
Sherrick has made a motion.
Excuse me,
For
that's very
something.
inappropriate behavior. Point of order,
It was
sir.
seconded by Mrs. Slater. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Stay.
Motion fails.
I'm
Is there any
I'm sorry, what can we-
objection to ending the meeting by
no,
8:50
point
p.m.?
point of order.
Where's the sergeant at arms for this disruption?
Back there.
Sitting back there.
Only
Can
I'm the
I
one who
proceed
can call upon a
immediate threat
sergeant
of
of arms.
disruption?
I'm the only one who can call upon a sergeant of arms.
All right, so if he's unwilling to
False.
do
Yes,
a
that's
roll call
actually true.
vote,
I'm actually right on that.
if he's not able to do a roll call vote, can we do a roll call vote ourselves right now? I vote yes.
You can make a motion to request a roll call vote.
I'll make a motion to request a roll call vote.
Second.
Mrs. Slater requests a roll call vote, second by Councilwoman Sherrick. All in favor? Roll call vote, please.
Lars?
Abstain.
What are we voting?
Yeah, what?
Yeah, I don't even know what it is anymore.
I'm sorry, what is,
To her motion to,
Not let Kurt-
For the rest of the meeting so we can get done with this appropriately. This is out of hand.
Well, let Kurt end the meeting, but let,
And so your motion again, I'm sorry,
It's just
Erin.
to have Kevin go ahead and
Okay.
finalize the meeting.
And remove the chair for the rest of the meeting. Remove-
there is no rest.
There is, I mean, we still have.
I mean, after you just.
Deshawn?
Here I am again. The motion is to keep Kevin.
No.
Okay.
The motion on the table is to have a roll call vote for the motion
To keep
to
Kevin.
remove the chair.
And to have Kevin preside for the rest of the meeting.
Yes.
Slater?
Yes.
Moritz?
I'm abstaining from this one, this is crazy.
Sherrick?
Yes.
Spiegel?
Abstain.
Motion fails. Okay, need a motion to adjourn.
We're not done yet. We have to do the referrals.
we already did those.
You already did those?
Yep.
Okay.
Need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second?
Mr. Me made a motion to adjourn, seconded by Mr. Moritz. All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed? We're adjourned at 8:51 PM.